Hello gamers, this is Si, and welcome back to Which Way Games. What was it that Gandalf used to say?
You shall not pass!
And with that being said, let's get on with the video. When it comes to magic and fantasy, there are many characters to be found. Such characters as muscle-bound barbarians, elf-like heroes, and wizards that have been behind some of the most well-known events and heroes of mythology. And speaking of wizards, there's one wizard known throughout history as well as fantasy, known as Merlin the Wizard. Now Merlin has many different origins throughout the ages, but he's most well known with his role with King Arthur. Being the offspring of a mortal woman and a demonic incubus, Merlin inherits supernatural powers and abilities such as building Stonehenge, charging the Knights of the Round Table to look for the Holy Grail, and orchestrating the birth of Arthur Pendragon, who grew up to be the legendary King Arthur. Merlin would then advise King Arthur and even warn him of his eventual demise at the hands of one of his sons. Eventually, Merlin would disappear without a trace, with rumours of turning himself into a bird or being sealed away with the Lady of the Lake. Obviously, Merlin the Wizard would go on to inspire many films, video games, and books with tales of his magic and adventures. But there's one particular series of books that takes the concept of wizardry and throws it out the window. This will be the Discworld series, which in today's video, I'll be looking at this hidden gem on the PlayStation called Discworld. But before I carry on, let's go back to where it all started. Discworld is a comic fantasy book series spanning over 41 books and is the brainchild of the late author Terry Pratchett. Terry Pratchett had written other great fantasy books, but it wouldn't be until the publication of The Colour of Magic, or the world of Discworld, caught the attention of readers. The Colour of Magic focuses around a wizard called Rincewind and his unwilling role with events on Discworld that will ultimately lead him to save his world, despite his best efforts not to get involved. From this, other books followed, and with most things that are popular, video games are made. The first game based on the series was The Colour of Magic on the Spectrum and Commodore 64, being released in 1986. Being a text adventure game, it followed the plot of the book closely, but sadly didn't sell as much as it should have, possibly due to poor marketing. With this, Terry Pratchett was always a bit reluctant to allow other gaming companies access to the Discworld license. In fact, one company that wasn't successful in getting the license was Adventuresoft, but it did lead to Simon the Sorcerer, which obviously was clearly inspired by Discworld and is a great game to play. Eventually, Greg Barnett of Perfect 10 Productions persuaded Terry Pratchett to give him access to the Discworld license after showcasing a small demo of Rincewind and the luggage in an amusing situation. This was the labour of 6 months' work, and Terry Pratchett was impressed with what he saw, especially with the design team showing respect to the Discworld series. Development for Discworld then began with Terry Pratchett wanting the game to be based off his first book, The Colour of Magic. However, Greg Barnett suggested on creating a new story that be part of the Discworld mythos. Both agreed, and elements of The Colour of Magic, as well as the other book Guards, were used to create the story of Discworld. Several artists were tasked with creating backgrounds, which a lot of them were hand-drawn as well as painted, and eventually digitised to be used within the game. Now with the world of Discworld created, Greg Barnett wanted to improve on the humour by using voice actors, especially for the wizard Rincewind. Terry Pratchett always wanted David Jason to play Rincewind, but at the time he was unavailable. But eventually, David Jason would go on to play Rincewind, but more on that later. With David Jason unavailable, John Cleese was the first choice, but he turned down the role, so it came to fellow Monty Python actor Eric Idle to voice Rincewind.
Brave Sir Robin ran away. No! Bravely ran away, away.
I didn't!
Eric Idle's unique voice is easily recognisable, and with this, the character design of Rincewind was tweaked to look more like the legendary Monty Python actor. Other British actors were also used to voice characters for Discworld, such as Rob Brydon. And come mid-1995, Discworld was released for the PlayStation for gamers to enjoy the world of Ankh-Morpork. And like always, let's go back to the past to see how Discworld was advertised. story of Discworld takes place in a second-hand set of dimensions. A large disc is being carried through space on the shoulders of 4 gargantuan elephants, who themselves are standing on the shell of Great Atuin, a gigantic sea turtle. Not much is known about the 4 elephants and what they're thinking of while supporting the disc above, but the biggest mystery is where is Great Atuin heading towards and why. On the disc there are many oceans and continents, each having many civilizations, heroes, forests, mountains and cities found within them. But there's one city that's infamous throughout the disc where citizens can make an honest living. Well, as honest as they can, unless they work for the Thieves Guild. This city is called Ankh-Morpork, that's home to mysterious shops, the unseen university, and a pub that changes its name, usually under suspicious consequences. Hidden within the twisting and turning alleyways of Ankh-Morpork, a secret brotherhood is summoning a creature from across the many dimensions that make up the fabric of existence. This creature is known as a dragon, which hasn't been seen on disc in so long it has become something of a legend or a fairy tale that is told when putting children to sleep. Nowadays the residents don't believe in dragons, but then again, dragons don't believe in people either. The dragon is then summoned using a stolen book of magic. The Brotherhood then proceed to use the dragon to torment the city of Ankh-Morpork for their own personal gain. However, the residents of Ankh-Morpork still don't believe in dragons. Rumours of the dragon then reach the unseen university, where the Arch-Chancellor then decides it's best to involve a wizard to investigate. Obviously, all the other wizards are busy sorting out their sock drawers and waiting for lights out before sneaking off to the pub for a quick pint and a packet of crisps, or as it's sometimes known as a packet of Crispies. So the perfect wizard for the job is Rincewind, and always following its master is a faithful but psychotic luggage.
Attaboy.
Gameplay has gamers controlling Rincewind, who travels around the disc as well as beyond the edge, searching for a way to deal with the dragon and the secret brotherhood, as well as doing what he does best. Yep, that would be running away, but fate always has a way of bringing Rincewind back to play his role in the grander scheme of things. Controls are those of a typical point-and-click adventure game, where most objects as well as non-playable characters can be interacted with, usually with amusing results. Games will have a multitude of choices to be made while in conversation, where Rincewind can either joke or even become angry towards a non-playable character. This is where Eric Idle's sarcastic tones are really put to use. Each location found within the game can be viewed by an overhead map, and a nice touch of this map is sometimes events will occur on the map screen that may or may not have an effect on areas before gamers can visit them. Items found can either be used or examined and are usually stored within Rincewind's pockets or inside the deadly but loyal luggage. And in keeping with the footnotes found within the book series, these appear throughout the game to explain the world of Discworld to gamers and maybe giving away small tips. Coming back to the story, Rincewind learns that the dragon is being controlled by the Secret Brotherhood, and the dragon asks him for help. The only way Rincewind can do this is by uncovering who the Secret Brotherhood are, as well as stopping the theft of a particular book within the Unseen University's library. Rincewind is successful in returning the dragon back to its home dimension. However, when visiting the Patrician to be recognised for his efforts, Rincewind ends up in a heated argument with the Patrician over the existence of dragons. Following this argument, the same dragon is summoned back onto the disc and is clearly not pleased. The annoyed Patrician then tasks Rincewind to deal with the dragon, but to do this, Rincewind needs to find all the components that make up a hero in order to slay the dragon once and for all. Eventually, Rincewind gains the heroic components he needs, but fails to stop the dragon, so he has to come up with an alternative method. This alternative method came in the form of a swamp dragon called Mumbo the 16th. But sadly, Mumbo is of no use as he becomes infatuated with the dragon, and so Rincewind decides to throw a love custard pie at the dragon, causing it to fall in love with Mumbo. The pair then fly off into the distance, performing mating dances, while Rincewind turns around, heads to the pub for a much needed pint and a packet of crisps. Overall, Discworld is a charming game to play, especially for fans of the Discworld series. Obviously, as a fan of the Discworld series, I clearly enjoyed the game, but for newcomers, I would suggest reading The Colour of Magic and The Light Fantastic before playing. It's a great way of introducing the character of Rincewind and the world he inhabits. What's great about Discworld for the PlayStation, that it's an entirely new story that doesn't follow the overall timeline of the books, but could easily fit within it if needed, as I mentioned before. With simple and easy controls to pick up, gamers will enjoy exploring the many locations found within the game, as well as the amusing dialogue that the series is known for. Although Discworld is easy to play using the PlayStation mouse, there will be times where gamers may end up scratching their heads on where to go next, but a little tip is that most of the items found within the game are all connected to the overall plot and its characters, so pay attention to the little details. When released, Discworld was very successful and was classed as a massive hit in Europe as well as the UK. And from this, 2 sequels were made. Discworld 2, Missing Presumed, had gamers controlling Rincewind once again, but the game had a huge graphical overhaul with better animation and the concept of time travel made an appearance. And as for Discworld Noir, this had gamers controlling the Disc 1 and only private investigator, but used 3D rendered characters that was a step forward from the previous 2 games. Both sequels are great fun to play. I'd love to see Discworld make a return in the future, possibly as another point and click game, or even as an online open world where real gamers could take on the roles of the citizens of the Disc, including Cohen the Barbarian. Coming back to the comment I made about David Jason, he eventually got to play Rincewind in the live version of The Colour of Magic. This mini-series is fantastic to watch, especially if you're fans of the books, but there are some parts that sadly didn't make it to the final version, perhaps due to financial reasons or possibly time constraints. Either way, it's enjoyable and another great way to introduce newcomers to the series. Anyway, come back next time where a young man has to avenge his father and uncover the mystery behind the Phoenix Mirrors. But who is Landy and how is he connected? Thank you so much for watching and see you next game.